Hi, my name is Thornberry and I will be presenting on the pipeline of character modeling in games. Um, Character modeling is basically just constructing the geometry and the visual aspect of what a character is in a video game. There are two main approaches that are commonly accepted through the pipeline. The first one would be sculpting a high-res model in ZBrush or Mudbox or something like that, and then retopologizing it down to a low-res in-game model. The second used method of starting out would be modeling a low-res first, the in-game low-res first, and then using the in-game low-res to sculpt the high-res detail onto. So either way works well and is commonly accepted. I prefer sculpting first and then retopologizing, personally. Topology and UV layout would be the next thing on the pipeline. Topology is really important to make sure you nail it down first when you are retopologizing or modeling your low res. It needs to be adaptive for deformation, that way when it's being rigged, it can be rigged and weighted properly. That way when the animator gets a hold of it, it's not popping and pulling and looking awful. UVs are also really important. A UV on a model tells the model the pixel information, basically, and you need to make sure all that is working properly and isn't going to cause the texture to be stretched or pulled or have seams in odd places or anything like that. The next thing would be map baking. This is, you'll bake out your ambient occlusion map and then your normal map. Your ambient occlusion is shadow information. It pulls any shadow, just basic lighting shadow information, just to help start off with creating the diffuse, the basic color of the model. And then we have our normal maps, which is actually the light information of the model. Any tiny details such as pores or scales or cracks or crevices or wrinkles or anything like that is going to be picked up by a normal map to more or less trick the light into thinking that that geometry is actually sculpted and modeled into the low res, even though it's not. It saves a lot of memory on being able to have this high detail even though it's not modeled in. It's just light information. The next would be texturing. There's texture painting, and then there's layering photos in Photoshop. Texture painting is a pretty basic way to start out, although for really realistic textures, photography is used. Any kind of texture reference photos are used, and then it's altered and filtered in Photoshop and layered on top of one another to create the desired texture for the most realistic effect. There are no one-way workflow pipelines. There's new techniques constantly being discovered, constantly being found out. Many people develop their own. Many different companies have their own pipelines depending on what programs are available to them, depending on how many people they have to work on specific areas of the pipeline. So there is no one absolute way to going through the pipeline. That's part of it being art. It is a type of art, so there is no one way for it to be done. As long as it works and it's efficient for you and it's efficient for the company, then it works. It's a pipeline. That is my presentation on the pipeline of character modeling in video games. I hope this was as educational for you as it was for me when I was learning it. Thank you for watching.